Folks, if you've been watching the markets lately, you know that we're living in unusual times. Interest rates, inflation, government debt. It all seems to move faster than most of us can keep up with. And for those of us who have spent decades planning for a comfortable retirement, that uncertainty can be unnerving. You've worked hard, saved diligently, and now it's time to make sure that the money you've built up continues to work for you, no matter what the headlines are saying. That's where gold and silver come into the picture, and why more retirees are looking at precious metals as a core part of their retirement strategy. Let's start with gold. For centuries, it's been a symbol of wealth, stability, and security. Unlike paper currencies, which can be affected by inflation, government policies, and market swings, gold has intrinsic value. When the economy becomes uncertain, when inflation spikes or the dollar wobbles, gold often shines as a safe haven. And right now, looking at the trends, we see that gold is poised for some interesting movements in November 2025. Analysts and experts are suggesting that gold could edge higher as global debt levels and inflationary pressures continue to influence the markets. Some forecasts even hint at gold approaching the $2,600 per ounce mark in the near term. Now, I don't want you to get hung up on exact numbers because markets fluctuate. But what this tells us is that gold continues to hold its place as a stable store of value, especially in uncertain times. And it's not just gold. Silver, often called the poor man's gold, has its own advantages. It's more volatile than gold, which means it can see sharper price movements, both up and down. But it's also highly industrially demanded, from electronics to solar panels. That gives silver an extra layer of support beyond its role as a store of value. For retirees, owning a portion of your savings in silver can provide diversification and protection against unexpected economic shifts. When combined, gold and silver create a balance. Gold for stability, silver for potential growth, and both for security against financial turbulence. Now, let's talk a little bit about the context we're living in. The U.S. economy is strong in some areas, but we're not immune to the challenges we've seen in the past few years. Inflation, high national debt, and global uncertainty remain very real. That's why more Americans, especially those approaching or in retirement, are thinking about ways to protect their wealth in a tangible, reliable form. Stocks and bonds have their place, but they are also subject to volatility that can sometimes feel frightening. Gold and silver, on the other hand, have weathered decades, even centuries, of economic cycles, wars, and crises. They remain a tried-and-true method of preserving purchasing power and ensuring that your hard-earned savings retain value over time. Investing in precious metals doesn't have to be complicated. For those who are cautious but want to participate in this security strategy, companies like Augusta Precious Metals specialize in helping investors allocate a portion of their retirement funds into gold and silver. They provide guidance, storage solutions, and educational resources so you can make informed decisions without feeling lost in the financial maze. What makes this approach particularly appealing for retirees is the combination of protection and peace of mind. You're not chasing short-term gains. You're safeguarding your future, and you're doing so with assets that have intrinsic value, something tangible that no digital market crash can erase. Some of you might be wondering, isn't it too late to get into gold and silver? Aren't the prices already high? That's a fair question. And here's the thing. Investing in precious metals isn't about timing the exact top or bottom. It's about adding a layer of security to your portfolio. Even if gold or silver rises, their intrinsic value as a hedge against inflation, currency weakness, or geopolitical risk remains strong. And with November 2025 on the horizon, the signs point toward continued interest and potential upward movement, especially as investors look for safety in an unpredictable world. I want to pause here and address the practical side of this strategy. If you're a retiree concerned about market swings, adding gold and silver doesn't mean overhauling your entire portfolio. It means setting aside a portion, a sensible, calculated slice, of your savings into assets that historically hold their value. Many financial advisors suggest somewhere between 5% and 15% of your retirement portfolio in precious metals. This may seem small, but that small percentage can make a huge difference when uncertainty hits. It's the difference between worrying every time the stock market dips and sleeping peacefully, knowing that a tangible asset is there, guarding your wealth. Here's where Augusta Precious Metals often comes up in conversations with investors. They specialize in helping Americans navigate the gold and silver market in a retirement context. They focus on education, security, and proper allocation. For someone who's never held physical precious metals before, the process can feel overwhelming. Where do you store it? How do you make sure it's authentic? Augusta provides clarity, storage options, and guidance so that the investment is smooth, understandable, and, most importantly, secure. It's not about chasing headlines or hype. It's about making smart, informed decisions that protect your financial freedom. Let's talk about some of the advantages that make gold and silver so appealing for retirees. First, they're real, tangible assets. Unlike digital dollars or even stocks, gold and silver exist physically. You can hold them, store them safely, and know that they retain intrinsic value regardless of market turbulence. Second, they're globally recognized. You don't need to worry about the currency in your local bank suddenly losing value. Gold and silver have been accepted for thousands of years across the globe. Third, they diversify your portfolio. By owning assets that behave differently than stocks, bonds, or cash, you reduce risk. And finally, they can provide a hedge against inflation. If prices rise and the dollar loses purchasing power, your gold and silver can maintain their value, helping your retirement savings stay intact. Now, let's consider the current market dynamics for a moment. Global uncertainties, from geopolitical tensions to national debt concerns, continue to create an environment where tangible assets are highly attractive. Interest rates are shifting, inflation pressures linger, and the economy continues to show unpredictable behavior in certain sectors. In times like these, a conservative, retirement-focused approach often means leaning into assets that have historically maintained value. Gold and silver fit that description perfectly. You're not speculating on the next big tech stock or volatile cryptocurrency. You're preserving wealth that you've already earned, a key principle for anyone focused on a secure retirement. At this point, it's worth thinking strategically about timing and allocation. While I mentioned earlier that gold could approach $2,600 per ounce in November 2025, and silver could see directional upward trends as well, the key is to remain disciplined and patient. The goal isn't to flip metals for short-term profit. It's to integrate them into a retirement plan that protects your lifestyle, your family, and your independence. And when you take this approach with the support of experienced professionals who understand the precious metals market, it becomes much more approachable and far less stressful than trying to navigate it alone. Now, if you're starting to see the value in this strategy and thinking about how to implement it safely, this is where companies like Augusta Precious Metals often become a trusted partner. They don't just sell gold and silver, they educate, they guide, and they provide security solutions so that investors know their assets are protected. For someone entering the precious metals market for the first time, that guidance can make all the difference. You can learn about allocation, storage options, and retirement-specific strategies without having to figure it all out on your own. It's about clarity, confidence, and protection. 3 things every retiree deserves when thinking about their future. As we approach November 2025, the outlook for gold and silver remains promising for those who are looking for stability and long-term security. Economic uncertainties, geopolitical risks, and ongoing market volatility all point to the continued appeal of tangible assets. Incorporating precious metals into your portfolio can provide peace of mind, knowing that a portion of your savings is sheltered from the kind of swings that keep so many retirees awake at night. And that peace of mind is invaluable. It allows you to focus on enjoying retirement, not constantly worrying about financial headlines. So, if you've been thinking about taking action, educating yourself, exploring how gold and silver can fit into your retirement plan, it's worth looking into reputable companies that specialize in this area. Augusta Precious Metals, for example, has a strong track record of helping investors make informed decisions, safely store assets, and understand how precious metals can serve as a cornerstone of a retirement strategy. They provide resources, educational materials, and guidance so that your decisions are thoughtful, informed, and aligned with your long-term financial goals. Remember, this isn't about hype or chasing trends. It's about protecting your wealth, securing your independence, and preparing for whatever the future may bring. And let's be honest, in today's economic climate, that's exactly what so many Americans are looking for. We've seen how quickly markets can shift, how inflation can erode purchasing power, and how uncertainty can creep into even the most carefully planned retirement. Gold and silver offer a tangible solution, a way to preserve the value you've worked a lifetime to build. And by integrating these metals strategically into your portfolio, you're not just investing in the market. You're investing in your peace of mind, your stability, and your freedom. As we wrap this up, I want you to remember something important. Retirement is about more than just numbers. It's about security, independence, and being able to enjoy the life you've worked hard for. Gold and silver aren't just commodities. They're tools that help you achieve that security. They're a hedge against uncertainty, a safeguard for your savings, and a timeless investment that has proven itself across centuries. And with expert guidance, education, and safe storage options, you can integrate these metals into your retirement plan with confidence. So, take a moment to think about your own retirement. Are your savings fully protected against the uncertainties of today's economy? Are you positioned to weather market volatility and still enjoy the lifestyle you've planned for? If there's even a little doubt in your mind, it's worth exploring the role of gold and silver in your portfolio and learning more about how reputable, retirement-focused companies like Augusta Precious Metals can help you do that safely and confidently. Remember, folks, this isn't about chasing short-term gains. It's about securing your freedom, protecting your wealth, and ensuring that the retirement you've envisioned becomes a reality. No matter what the headlines say or how markets fluctuate, gold and silver are more than investments. They're peace of mind in a tangible form, and they've stood the test of time for a reason. Now, if you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe to our channel. We will give you more helpful tips to retire securely. Goodbye.